All right, welcome to part 3B, where we will finish up um, our little game here. We won't totally finish everything. There might be a few things that we leave hanging out there that we want to add at some point. But if you haven't watched part 3A on how to use arrays, this might be a little bit tricky to follow. I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining how the arrays work. If you already know how arrays work, then that shouldn't really be much of an issue. But we're going to do something similar to what I did in 3A, except now we're back to our full game, where, if you recollect, whoops, I'm very bad at this. We just are dodging one missile that keeps coming. Oh, well, I just died again. Trying to dodge that missile there. I'm going to go way off the screen because we never put in anything that keeps me from not being able to fly way high above the screen. Just so you can remember what that does, and what we wanted to do was add some difficulty so that more missiles would come as the game progresses. The first thing that I'm going to do, much like I did in my part 3A, I'm actually going to delete this thing. It's gone. I hope I still do. Yep, I still got the URL of the picture so that I can quickly put this back in. Remember what we're doing instead of creating the image. There we go. Sorry, it's hard to do two things at once. Instead of creating the image in the design mode, we're going to be actually adding the image in just straight up in the code. So there's that, and in order for it to work nicely, we need to set its size. This is 0 to 100 by 100, because it's actually going to be a bigger image than that, so we'll shrink it down, and I'm going to set its position off the screen. Missile 0, negative 100, 200. I don't remember where that was, but that should work. It's not going to work because there we go. Set position of missile 0. Unclosed string. Whoopsies. There we go. There we go. It's not going to work because I changed the name from missile to missile 0. So function end game, we hide missile 0. It might be actually advantageous for me to do just a quick search for everywhere I've got. I'll leave that for the moment, but here's where I referred to its position. Yeah. The other thing I should do while I'm at it, remember I'm going to turn these from just a single variable into a list or an array, and all I got to do is say that it's in brackets here. So now it's a list. It holds a whole bunch of elements, except at the moment it's really boring. It only holds one element. So now I go through and I find all my missiles. I'll initially put it as missile speed 0. And remember, it's not missile, it's missile plus 0. It's not missile, it's missile 0. It's really boring. But I gotta go through in each spot and refer to the first element, the 0 element in my list, rather than just the entire list, which is what this is now. Of course, there is only one element in the list, but we're going to quickly add some other things, which will get us more. I should see if there's anywhere else where I've got missile. Yeah, distance between missile 0 and, again, plus 0, just concocting the string. Let's see if there's anything else. I think I've got all of the references now. Yep, I feel pretty happy. Command F or Control F if you're on a PC or Chromebook or something will work really nice for finding those. Then, if I run this, I feel like I messed up something because my missile is always at the top of my screen. It says line 61. Oh, here it is. Get Y position. There was one other thing that I missed. There we go. Oh man, I'm bad. Run. Oh boy. Yep, it's working. Okay, I'm happy. I think maybe I don't want my thing to initially come on the screen at 200 because it's too hard for me to make the game work, to test it, because I die too quickly, too easily. Alright, there we go. Now, all we need to do, we've got it as a missile array now. We can have some sort of function to add missiles, but in order to do that, when do we add a missile? Well, probably depends on whatever my score is. Right now I don't have anything tracking my score, so I'm going to add that. One of the things I'm going to add in my design mode then is a text area. Here we go. The text areas have, let's see, I can change the background color and make it totally transparent, which is nice, but these text areas have these dumb little boxes around, so because that annoys me, I'm going to make it the size of my whole screen so you don't see that border. Next position should be 0 there. There, and it covers the entire thing. And let's call this text scoreboard. There we go. And the text in it will say that initially. All right, and then in my code, my score is going to be 0. So basically, every time through the loop here, I'll just have my score increasing. So score plus equals, and I'll have it go up by 5. That'll be nice. So while I'm playing the game, my score goes up. And, oh, I need to update. So set the text of my scoreboard to equal score plus the actual number, the variable score. Look at that, I have a cute little score up there. I didn't use a text input, did I? I don't know why it has a little cursor in there. That's kind of annoying. Tell you what, I know why it probably does. It's because my score text thing is on the top of my screen. So what I'll do is I'll just send that to its depth to the bottom. And now I think that takes care of that. Yeah, it does. Cool. Perfect. So I've got a score now, and now I can do something like, hey, every time my score hits something divided by 1,000, or like 1,000 or 2,000, we'll add another missile. So if score, and maybe you don't remember this, but this module division will just return the remainder. So if it's, well, my score, if my score is 10 divided by 1,000 is 0 remainder 10. So it'll actually return 10. If my score is 1,500, it'll do 1,500 divided by 1,000, which is 1, remainder 500, and so it'll return 500. It returns that remainder. So it will equal 0 every time we hit something that's divisible by 1000. So if my score equals module divided by 1000 equals 0, which is really just that percent sign, what's it going to do? We're going to add a missile. This should be fairly simple to do. Let's create a function to add missile. Function add missile. First thing we want to do is actually create an image, which is going to be called missile. And then I've got to tag on a number on the end of it. And since the number of missiles in my missile array here is always 1 greater than the last index number, I'm actually, instead of having some variable tracking the number of missiles like I did in my part 3a video, I am just going to use that handy variable, missile.length. And again, I only have 1 element in my array to start with, so my length is 1, but this is the 0th element. So now if I'm adding a missile, I'm going to add one that is missile 1. And it will be, and eventually my missile length is going to increase when I append something to that array. All right, so missile 0, and that is that same PNG. I'm going to set size of missile plus missile.length. I'm going to set that to 100 by 100, and set position of missile. Oops. Concacting that number on the end of it as well. Length. All right. Let me close this toolbox so that we can see that code a little better. Perfect. So now we're adding another missile. Oh, I guess I actually set the position. We're going to set it off the screen, -100, and we'll put it at 100. Perfect. So we've created it, and we need to now append an item onto my missile list, which is going to be -100, its X position, and I'm going to append item onto missile speed, and we initially set our missiles at a speed of 5. Then in my hit by missile, I now need to check for not just missile 0, but I need to check for all of my missiles. So for variable I equals 0, I less than missile length, I plus plus. For that, I'm going to check each one. And so instead of the 0 here, I replace it with an I, replace that with an I. We're checking if the X location of each missile compared to the Y of each missile compared to the X and the Y of the helicopter. If those are less than 35, then we'll return true. Why am I getting that error? Expected. Oh. You know what? This is going to work. What just happened? My thing just restarted. Okay. Phew. We're okay. Alright, here's the problem. We need to check it for each missile if it's true or not. Sorry about that little blip there, but I think we're back. I must have clicked back on my screen without realizing it. This else isn't referring to any specific if, so what we're going to do is just do this. We're going to create a little variable called hit and set it equal to false, and then we're going to check for each missile. If it's less than 55, we're going to set hit equal to true, and then we're going to return that Boolean hit. So it will be set as false, and then I'll check for each missile. If any one of these missiles is less than 35 pixels away, then it will set hit equal to true, and it will return then a true. So that'll work for us. The other thing we need to do is under our move missile, we need to now not just move missile 0, but we need to move all of our missiles. So guess what? A little for loop. For variable I equals 0. You don't have to use I just always use I. It's like I for index number. I less than missile dot length I plus plus. Let me tab each of these things out. Just so that we can see the spacing a little better. And we're going through and we're doing each of these now for every missile. So not just missile 0, but for missile missile 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Cool. I think we're good there. The only other thing that I think we want to change here is going to be our end game. We want to hide our element missile 0, but we probably also want to like delete all of our extra missiles. So rather than just hiding missile 0, let's also and this is where we want to kind of go reverse through our thing. So variable I, in this case, we're going to start with missile.length -1, so our last one in our array. I greater than 0, so we're getting rid of all except for the 0th element. I minus. We're going to do a couple things here. We're going to delete element missile plus I. So we're going to delete the image. We're going to remove an item from our missile array. And we're going to remove an item from missile speed array. Just that ith element. So we're going to delete all of them except for the 0 one, working our way down. I think just so that I can see this work a little faster, I'm not going to wait till I score 1,000 points. Just once I get to 100, it should add another missile. Oops. You saw it work. Ugh, I can't even survive long enough. Okay, let's do it at 200. And I died. Run. There. Let me just get off the screen so we can see if it's working. It looks like it's working. We're getting a whole bunch more missiles added. If I crash and die, they all disappear. The only thing I'm really probably missing at this point is like maybe a start button. It would be nice to have a button that starts and stops and resets everything, so I don't have to hit that reset. But I'm going to leave that to you. What you'd want to do is, in our end game, we did a nice job of deleting all of our elements and getting rid of all of those extra missiles. Um, you just want a button, a start button that hides itself once it gets clicked, and then on the end game, the start button shows up again, um, and it re-initializes where the missile is so that it's off the screen so that we don't immediately hit it again, and re-initializes where your helicopter is, and hides, of course, your burning stuff and starts your ground moving again. So some of the basic things that we did at the very beginning just to get everything going again. Oh, and it would set, of course, the playing variable to true again. Oh, and set your score down to 0. I think I mentioned everything. I may have missed something in there. Regardless, if you want to have a nice button so you don't have to just click this stupid... Boy, I don't last very long in this game. There we go. So you don't have to hit the reset button. It would be a much better game. Maybe even have like some sort of instruction menu. If you really wanted to get after it, you could have it so your helicopter could fight back. You might want to add some elements so that your helicopter can't just fly up higher and higher in the sky like I've just done here and avoid the missiles forever. You get stuck at the top. But there you go. One of these days I'm going to fall back down. Boom, and I hit one of the missiles and I died. So anyway, that's the end of part 3B. I've definitely left some things that you can add to this game to make it better, but I hope you enjoyed it. I'll do one last little scroll through all of my code so that you can, in fact, let me narrow this down a little bit so that you can see it. If you need to, pause it at this point and you can see what my code says. There you go. Thanks for watching.